There we go. So we changed up the order of who, what, why. So we got why, how, who, and what. So it's a little different. But why we have to do, why you have to get a depreciation report. First of all, you don't have to get one. The way the government has set up the act is that you are required to get one, but by 3/4 vote, you can delay it for 18 months. And then really the intention is the next annual general meeting, you can have a discussion if you want to have it again. In some cases, it doesn't make sense to get them. We manage a parking lot in Whistler. There's not a lot going on in a parking lot, right? We have to paint the lines every couple of years, and we can pretty much work out the cost on that. But if you're an intricate strata, or you've got systems, you've got roof, you know, a depreciation report is a very useful tool going forward. So why do we have to have it? Section 94 of the Strata Property Act is the primary reason. The other reason is the investment value. So what we're seeing is that lenders are now asking for the depreciation report. So if you're remortgaging your house, or someone's purchasing and they need a mortgage, some of the lenders are starting to ask for depreciation reports. And right now we're saying, oh, maybe this one doesn't have it, or this one has it, and I haven't heard of any negative feedback by not having one or having one. But we know in other markets, the depreciation report is more leaned on by the lenders. So I foresee it being a critical part of getting a mortgage in the future. Not next year, probably not even 2 years from now, but in the future it's going to be a useful tool, and then the lender's going to be able to look and say, wow, this strata is going to have major replacement next year or the year after that, and they don't have any money. So am I going to lend 95% of the value of that unit? Maybe not, because they don't have any insulation there. So in the future, as Rick put it, the Strata Act is the stick, and the investment value is probably the carrot. It's an incentive to get it. So the great thing is that you don't need to do anything. If you don't pass the 3/4 vote, you have to get one, right? So it's really just an option of funding. And so the way the regs are outlined, which is also 94 and 96 in the Strata Property Act, it says you can fund it in certain ways. You can do a special levy, that's a 3/4 vote by the owners. If you have professional service fees as an expense line item in your budget, you can also put it in there. And as we know, to approve a budget is just a majority vote, so it's a lower threshold to get it. The other thing is they've specifically changed it so if you can have a majority vote of the owners at a general meeting to expense it out of the CRF. So usually when you want to spend money out of your contingency reserve fund, it's a 3/4 vote. But if the funds are going to be used to get a depreciation report, it's only a majority vote. So that's kind of helpful if the ownership in general wants it, but maybe there's somebody with a bunch of proxies that doesn't want it. So just a majority vote can make it happen. And then who? Well, we want a depreciation report done by a qualified individual. We happen to have one here, so I'm going to turn it over to him and he can explain what qualified means.
Right, so in British Columbia, we went a bit of a different way with the qualified person part of the Act. Ontario and Alberta list actual professions and certifications that you need to have to do a depreciation report: architect, building engineering technologist, professional engineer, certified planner. BC went a slightly different way, and they put in the Act that anyone who has significant knowledge of the strata and its common assets and can get errors and omissions insurance is a qualified person. So essentially that's anybody who has $95 to get errors and omissions insurance. So it was a different way of going with it, and I think we'll see as that revised in the future, because it really leaves the door wide open for anyone to be a qualified person. And in our practice doing this, we have seen accounting firms that were offering them, home inspectors that were offering them, there's a credit union that was offering them at one point. So anyone with a ladder on their truck was offering depreciation reports. And we saw some reports that were 6 pages, including the title page, so some interesting stuff. The actual content of a depreciation report depends on what type of depreciation report you've purchased. So there's two basic types. There's an engineered depreciation report, which no one in this room. Did anyone in this room get an engineered depreciation report? I see some hands.
Yeah,
wow.
describe it.
Sorry?
Describe it.
So an engineered depreciation report is one where they come in and take destructive samples. They sample pipes, they sample concrete, they cut holes in walls. Oh, there's a hand. Yeah, wow. So you guys are paying for that forever. I'm sure it was expensive.
A little under 10.
And they came and did concrete samples?
No, because it was only 5 years old at that point.
Yeah.
7 years old? 7.
So we've seen some engineered depreciation report proposals that included sampling of concrete, exterior, and visual inspection of high-rise buildings, and they were $50,000 plus. So most of the time, people buy a functional reserve fund study, and that's a financial, it's intended to be a financial document. It's not intended to replace an engineer's judgment. So that's what most people have, and that's what I'm sure 99% of people get. And then what's in a functional reserve fund study is a listing of all of the components, and by components I mean the elements of the common property. So landscaping would be a component. Your trees and grass would show up as a component. Suite doors, the exterior envelope, obviously, windows, painting, all those wonderful things. You get a nice listing of them, the condition, the effective age, which we'll talk about a little later, and then replacement cost estimates. So, and then what you get on top of that is you get the funding models, and I want to talk a little bit about that later. But right now, the Act says you need 3 funding models, but it doesn't say what they need to be, so you can get the same model 3 times with a different inflation rate, and that's technically satisfying the requirement. Does it help you guys as owners or council people? Probably not so much. We can